Budget with me for my paycheck. I use this organized chaos notebook for all of my paycheck budgets. Sometimes I will do monthly spreads, any expense tracking I need, and any notes about my budget. At this point, I am about halfway through this notebook, so you will continue to see this one for a little while. I have not done budget with me videos for the past several paychecks, and the main reason for that is that I really like to use real numbers. The only time I'll use numbers that aren't real is if I'm doing some type of example as opposed to my own budget. And the past few paychecks, there were a few things that I didn't really want to elaborate on or share with the public. So at the top for income, there will usually be a couple of lines, and that is basically for my paycheck and anything else that I expect to get within that date range. For this particular paycheck, I waited until after I got paid to do my budget, and the reason for that is that there was a quarterly bonus attached to it, and I wasn't exactly sure what that amount was going to be. So I wanted to make sure I knew exactly what I was working with before I sat down and did my budget. I also try to be really careful about not being too reliant on bonus money to save me, because if I'm relying on a bonus paycheck to come through and save me, then I probably did something wrong in how I was budgeting. It's what it sounds like. It should be bonus money. I should not need it to save me. So the bonus amount ended up being $736. My paycheck was $1,762. So that gave me about $2,500 to work with. Next, I'm going to go down one line and make 3 sections: categories, budgeted, and remaining. Using remaining while doing my budget was a total game changer for me. So as you're going through, basically you're subtracting each amount and looking at how much of that paycheck amount you actually have left to work with. That really helps me stay on top of whether or not the budget I'm creating is something that's actually realistic and something that I can stick with. I've experimented with a couple different layouts for how I actually set up my paycheck budget, and this is the one that just makes the most sense for me. So first up is my Nissan car note. Now this is a late payment, so there will also be a Nissan car note payment off my next paycheck, and then after that I will be caught up. At that point, I would like to call them and see if I can change the date. That is an option that's available, but you have to have your account up to date before you can do that, because my due date is the 2nd of every month, and rent is the 1st of every month. So I'm just kind of finding myself in this cycle. I really can't make this work. It has put me in a position where I'm always having to pay that car note late. So once I'm caught up, I'm really excited about changing that due date. One of the next things I want to do is set up auto pay for more things. I want to kind of do that slowly as I go instead of just doing all the bills at once. I also want to be a little bit ahead by the time I get to the next paycheck, because sometimes auto pay will go through like a day or two before your actual date that it's supposed to come out of your account, and that's one of the reasons I've been hesitant thus far to utilize it. Next up is Nissan insurance coming in at $375, and so far that's leaving me with $1,557. I did shop around for better car insurance this week, but it really did not go well. The only thing that would have saved me any money would have been like a $20 difference. So to me, it's not really worth switching for that. There are a couple of reasons my car insurance is so high. I'm not going to get into all of that right this second. But in addition to those factors, it's also the things that I can't take off of it because it's still financed. So once the car is paid off, I'll be a little more flexible in what I can do. I thought I'd be able to get it a little bit cheaper because I could have swore I had more add-ons. It looks like the only thing I added on myself was rental car coverage of $50 a day in case I'm in an accident, which I really don't want to remove. But I'll see what the rate is going forward and see if that's something that I want to take off. It wouldn't make a huge difference, but might be worth looking into. Next up are some credit cards. Credit card 1 and credit card 3 are due on the 13th. Credit card 2 is due on the 24th. I really don't do a whole lot of driving around except basic errands and to work and home, so 120 is usually a little bit generous for fuel, but you never know when gas is going to fluctuate. Realistically, I can probably keep my gas expense in the $80 to $90 range. I just like giving myself a little bit extra in that category just to be on the safe side. Groceries, I'm trying to decide if I want to cut out of my budget because I eat out like crazy. And it's like I tried eating at home. I did. I did. I'm not that great of a cook, so I think part of it is just I don't really like eating my own food, and it used to be fine for me to just throw together whatever, and it was no big deal. But I'm just at a point where it's like, no, if I'm gonna put all this work into a meal, I want it to be rewarding to eat, and it's just usually not rewarding to eat. So if I'm gonna continue to eat out and spend money on groceries, I need to learn how to cook. Otherwise, I might as well cut the grocery budget and give myself a bigger eating out budget. Something's got to change. It doesn't make sense to be spending money in both categories, but I just find that when I make food at home, it's not really rewarding to eat and it's just a constant flow of dishes. I also don't have a dishwasher that works, so that's part of it. So I haven't made any changes to the grocery and eating out budget for this paycheck or next paycheck, but going forward I may do so. The pets category is a little bit higher because I'm finalizing an adoption for one of my cats. So that's really to cover the adoption fee and the fee I have to give the apartment to get her on the lease, all of that stuff. Oh, and her first vet visit. Next up is internet at $70. That is one of the few bills that is on autopay, so I don't need to go in and pay that. That brings me with $478 remaining in my budget. I think the only thing currently on autopay is the internet and then pet insurance. Next up is investment at $25, which I really have not been putting anything aside to, but it's time to start doing that again, in my opinion. Oh, and one thing I did forget to mention, speaking of autopay, so the $234 I put to savings, $34 is automatically moved from my checking to my savings account every single payday. And then the 200 was an additional amount that I just went ahead and took from my bonus money. Most paychecks, I'm going to try to put more than just what's automatically transferred, but it's usually not going to be quite as high as an additional $200. Next up is vehicle maintenance at $85, leaving me with $368 to work with.